أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله بارئ الخلائق الأجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء حبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد ثم الصلاة والسلام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين لا سيما ولي الله الحجة ابن الحسن صاحب الأمر والزمان اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء ولعنة الله على أعدائهم ومن أنكر ولايتهم وأشرك بولايتهم من الأولين والآخرين إلى قيام يوم الدين أما بعد قال الله تعالى في محكم كتابه الحكيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ومن ورائهم برزخ إلى يوم يبعثون صدق الله العلي العظيم وآمنا به نوروا مجالسكم بذكر محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. One of the primary messages of all the Anbiya, beginning from Adam to Khatam, was the focus on the Ma'ad. Ma'ad being the fifth of our Usuluddin, Tawheed, the fundamental belief in the unity and the oneness of Allah Azza wa Jal, and Tawheed in itself has a number of levels of understanding. Maulana Amirul Mu'mineen Salawatullahi wa Salamuhu alayh, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, in one of his sermons in Nahjul Balagha states four meanings of the concept of Tawheed, two of which are accurate and correct, and two meanings of Tawheed that are actually batil, ajib, which might come as a surprise to you. Understanding of Tawheed can be batil. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam points towards this reality. Therefore, verbally attesting the oneness of God, uttering oneness of God in itself has no value per se. It's the meaning behind the word that is uttered that makes the difference. What is the consequence and the meaning of that word oneness? What is our understanding of that word oneness? Does that oneness have the ability of divisibility or no? If it has, this is a form of shirk, Abir al-Mu'mineen points out. And qadiyat al-Tawheed, the issue of Tawheed is extremely delicate and necessary for us to understand. First of the Usuluddin Tawheed, Adala. Unlike other schools of thought that claim to be Muhammadi, they don't believe in the Adala of Allah Azza wa Jal, don't believe that Allah is just. However, in the school of Ahlul Bayt, the emphasis is placed on the fact that the universe, the Lord of the universe, logically cannot be unjust. And then you have Nabuwah, the prophethood of not only the Khatam, but of every Nabi from Adam. You have Imamah, the extension of Nabuwah, without which the entire deen would crumble, as per the teachings of the Quran. And you have the concept of Ma'ad. Ma'ad, yani the afterlife, which is a more general understanding than Yawmul Qiyamah. Many times When we hear that Usuluddin is Tawheed, Adala, Nabuwa, Imama, and Qiyamah, Yawmul Qiyamah is a part of the afterlife. And the more accurate term in Usuluddin is Ma'ad, because the word Ma'ad means afterlife. And the afterlife is more general than Yawmul Qiyamah. Yawmul Qiyamah is only one part of the afterlife. It's a juz'ah, which is why when you refer back to the classical ulama of Ilmul Kalam, be it Alama Hilli or Sayyid Abdullah Shabbar Rahmatullah alayh, you will find that when they speak about Usuluddin, the 5th chapter would always be titled Ma'ad and not Qiyamah. Why? Because Ma'ad, belief in afterlife, encompasses Alam al-Barzakh, encompasses Alam al-Raj'ah, encompasses Yawm al-Qiyamah, and encompasses beyond the Yawm al-Qiyamah. This is eternity, either in Jannah or wala ayadu billah Jahannam. And you find that these 5 principles are the first principles we are questioned about in the grave by the 2 angels. Even before the questioning of whether you prayed or you fasted or you gave khums or zakat and hajj and your furu'uddin, none of that comes into play. First and foremost is your usuluddin. And within this, there is great dalala, there is great indication and ilm. Why is it that the malaika in the grave begin with the questioning of usuluddin rather than furu'uddin? And this is reflected in the talqeen that we recite for the amwat. Ya fulan ibn fulan, hal anta ala al-ahd alladhi faraktana alayh? Are you on the same covenant and the pledge that you left us on while you were alive? And you look at the entire talqeen revolves around these 5 concepts of usuluddin. In reality, furu'uddin has no value if the usul is weak. And this is a linguistic deduction before an aqaidi or a textual discussion. Usul yani roots and furu' yani branches. And therefore a person has to ask himself, what is the value of a salat recited to a Lord that he does not even understand to begin with? Perhaps he believes that Lord has hands and has legs. Does that salat have any value if he's praying to a Lord that has hands and legs? Perhaps that Allah that he is praying towards, that understanding of Allah, is a creation of his imagination. Then he is not worshipping that Allah. He is worshipping a creation of his imagination, a form of idolatry. They created images with their hands, and this person has created an image with his mind. And hence, you find that emphasis on usuluddin before furu'uddin, and understanding this usuluddin in its right way, because our destiny in the afterlife is built upon this. And you find that from this usuluddin, the emphasis that has been laid with the highest level of importance by all the Anbiya from Adam till Khatam was the concept of Ma'ad, the concept of the afterlife. You find that from the responsibilities of the Anbiya, every Nabi's responsibility to some extent differed from the one before him or after him. And according to their responsibilities, there were classifications, which is why you have the Ulul Azam as the Anbiya, their responsibilities being higher and greater than that of the rest of the Anbiya. The responsibility ordained upon Nabiullah Ibrahim alayhi salam was different than the responsibility ordained, for example, on Hibatullah, also Nabi from the Anbiya of Allah. But you find from all these differences, despite the differences, the mushtarakat or the similarities that they had in responsibility was conveying the message of Ma'ad and the afterlife. And hence you find that even when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, began his risala in Makkah, he invited the people and focused his efforts on the concept of the afterlife. In that, O human being, O Bani Adam, understand the reality of your existence. You as a human being, in the manner in which you look at yourself and the manner in which you look at those around you, your existence is not restricted to this physical body that you carry, number one. And number two, your existence is not constrained to this realm of creation known as the dunya. You have a realm of existence that surpasses and that extends past this dunya. You have an existence waiting for you much vaster than this dunya. Understand number one. This dunya, with all its pomp and all its glory and everything that it has to offer in relationship to the afterlife, is nothing more than the womb of a mother. You've seen the fetus, when it is in the womb of its mother, for the fetus, the entire existence. There can't be any other existence greater and better than the womb of its mother. The source of life and the source of nutrition. Kunshi inside that womb. Where is the womb? And where is this dunya? And the same concept, the Mawla uses an example to compare between the existence of this dunya and the akhirah, the afterlife, ma'ad. For the Anbiya came forward and said, Ya Bani Adam, do not be deceived. Your existence is not restricted to your body here and to this dunya here. You have a greater journey to embark on. You have a real life that is waiting for you. But your destiny in that life depends on the choices that you make in this life. And there are certain traits that you carry in this life that will stretch to the next life as well. This is a life of amal, and that is a life of jaza. This is the life of hard work, and that is a life of you getting recompensed for the hard work that you did here. And you find that from here the Anbiya and Allah Azza wa Jal within the Quran opens the door into understanding this realm of the hereafter, ma'ad, as being a realm of accountability. Man in the dunya has the audacity to transgress and to sin and to be arrogant because he or she has not yet been convinced on the reality of the notion of accountability in the afterlife. Why did Fir'aun have the jur'ah and the majal to say, Ana Rabbukumul A'la? Because that notion of accountability did not exist within him. He never felt that he was accountable or he will be accountable for the actions that he performs. And this allowed him to be reckless in the choices that he made. And hence our understanding of ma'ad is important in order for us to make the right choices in life. Ya Baba, for everything you utter, every sentence you utter, every action you perform, know for certain that you shall be accountable in the realm of existence after this dunya. Which is why you find we have close to 2,000 verses in the Quran that speak about the afterlife. This book of guidance, which is made up of 6,000 odd verses, this book of guidance, whose speciality, if you could use that word, is that it is timeless. The greatest miracle of the Quran is that its teachings are timeless. Which is why whenever you have atheistic ideas that want to contrast the Quran, the first and foremost, the first step that they will take is that they will challenge the Quran in whether it is timeless or not. And which is why is an argument that you probably hear very often. This is an argument that we have heard very often in atheistic debates when it comes to taking the Quran as a hujjah. This is not a new argument. It was taken from the Greek philosophers who didn't believe in a divine power of existence. The first point of challenge would be that the Quran is not timeless. No. Quran was revealed for a generation, for a community, one part of the Arabian Peninsula, 1500 years ago. And now with dalil, with proof, we have law. The Quran is timeless. Its teachings are timeless. And therefore, you find that within the Quran, 2,000 verses in regards to Ma'ad, almost 1/3 of a timeless message is placed within a book in order to prepare you and I for eternity, for existence, the real existence. How do we begin? Where do we begin? I have to sit back and take the opportunity of a Majlis Fatiha, where today you and I have gathered for the 40th of a Marhuma. Know for sure, bil yaqeen wa bila shakkin wala raib, with yaqeen and without an ounce of doubt, that tomorrow somebody will be sitting in your 40th. This is an example one of our teachers used to use. Do you ever keep in your mind one day, do you ever keep that tamanna and that hope that maybe the taxman might overlook you? Do you ever have that tamanna inside of you, or that arman that HMRC will overlook your taxes? Abadan la. The way you have that itmi'nan and that yaqeen that the taxman is behind you, have to have that itmi'nan and that yaqeen that death is also coming and it's a matter of time. Are we prepared for this existence? How can we be prepared for this existence if we don't even know what this existence encompasses? Many times we feel that Usuluddin is for the children in the madrasa. La. Usuluddin is for the adults more than for the children. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala outlines for us this entire existence. What are the factors of success and the factors of failure within this existence? And I want to focus on two parts for the time that we have. On the psychology, human behavior on the day of judgment, human behavior, understanding human behavior on the day of judgment. Understanding human behavior, by the way, is a big field of study, even within the corporate world. You want to excel in HR or anything, you find that understanding what motivates employees, what demotivates employees, understanding how a human being functions and what factors motivate or demotivate him is important in order to make the workplace more effective or more efficient. And similarly, you have within the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explores. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala outlines for us, not explore. Allah Azza wa Jal outlines for us and tells us in advance, Ya Bani Adam, be aware of certain traits that you have in the dunya that will cause your downfall, and in the akhirah as well that will cause your downfall. Two human traits. If a person is able to curb them, there is eternal success in the dunya as well as the akhirah. And if we cannot curb them, wal-ayadu billah, failure in the dunya and damnation in the akhirah. Understanding Yawmul Qiyamah is a fantastic subject from the Quran. The first verse that I want to discuss for you from Suratul An'am. You know, on the day of judgment, we have within the Quran, the day of judgment is equivalent to 50,000 years. And on that day, a number of things will happen. And there are a number of conversations that will happen. There will be conversations between people and Allah. There will be conversations between the people and the Anbiya. There will be conversations between people and the Malaika. This is all as per the Quran. There will be conversations between people and people. Between people and people, there will be conversations between the people of Jannah and the people of Jahannam. And there will be conversations between the people of Jannah and the people of Jannah. And there will also be conversations between the people of Jahannam and the people of Jahannam. Yani the dwellers of Jahannam amongst each other will also have conversations. What type of conversations are these? This is all mentioned in the Quran. Let me take for you this one example, the conversation between man, Bani Adam, and Allah on the day of judgment. Suratul An'am, verse number 27. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وَلَوْ تَرَى إِذْ وُقِفُوا عَلَى النَّارِ فَقَالُوا يَا لَيْتَنَا نَرُدَّ وَلَا نُكَذِّبَ بِآيَاتِ رَبِّنَا وَنَكُونَ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and when they are made to stand on the banks of the hellfire, wal-ayadu billah. Fear sometimes is good and sometimes is bad. We don't need to understand Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a Lord who is not merciful and who punishes us and such that there is a negative image of Allah in mind, of course. But Allah has these verses in the Quran for a purpose, because fear can be used in a positive manner in order to refine behavior. And this is the concept that is used within the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and when they are made to stand in front of the banks of Nar Jahannam, they are at the gate of Nar Jahannam. You see the raging fire and the flames, the like of which man cannot even comprehend, is at that stage. Finished. This is it. Man will say, Ya Allah. Conversation. Man will say, فَقَالُوا يَا لَيْتَنَا نَرُدُّ وَلَا نُكَذِّبْ بِآيَاتِ رَبِّنَا. I say, Ya Allah, I wish I could go back Give me one more chance, my Lord. One more chance. Let me go back. And I shall not belie the signs of my Lord. The signs of my Lord, ayati Rabbina yani shunu yani deen. Wilaya, Risala, Salat, Saum. Ya Allah, give me that one chance so that I can go back to the dunya, please. And I promise I shall obey you. Give me that one chance, I will make sure I recite my salat. Give me that one chance, I make sure I'll do my psalm. One more chance. I will not put down Ahlul Bayt. Man is pleading. Give me one more chance. We will become believers. Allah is the Rahman. Allah is the Rahim. Would it hurt Allah to give you a second chance? Why wouldn't Allah give you a second chance? Look at what the answer is from Rabbul Alameen. He goes on to say, verse 28, بَلْ بَدَى لَهُمْ مَا كَانُوا يُخْفُونَ مِنْ قَبْلِ وَلَوْ رُدُّوا لَعَادُوا لِمَا نُهُوا عَنْهُ وَإِنَّهُمْ لَكَاذِبُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says these people are pleading for one more chance. But if I was to send them back to the dunya, they would return back to their crooked ways. Indeed, they are liars. Look at what the verse is saying. Look at Bani Adam. He is on the door of Nar Jahannam. He is saying to Allah, give me one more chance so that when I go back, I promise I will be a straight person. I will be a believer. Allah is saying they are liars, meaning what? Bani Adam with the nafs, which is unrefined, will also have the audacity to lie to Allah Azza wa Jal on the day of judgment. Which is why Allah said, إِنَّهُمْ لَكَاذِبُونَ. If they were truthful, would Allah call them a liar? La. Allah knows what is inside the niyyah, which shows us how evil the trait is of being a liar. A liar in the dunya is a liar in the akhirah. The one who doesn't take ihtiyat to lie to another human being will have the audacity to even lie to the creator of the universe. Look at Bani Adam. Nar Jahannam is there. Instead of raising your hand and saying, Ya Allah, I am sorry. Ya Allah, forgive me. Bani Adam has so much gurur inside of him. He will lie to Allah even though the Jahannam is in front of him. Which is why you understand why Rasulullah said, the entire shar, evil, is in one house. And the key to that house of evil is a lie. One trait that ruins a person in the dunya and ruins his akhirah is the trait of lying. A person who is able to overcome this tendency, to overcome this habit, to be truthful in life. Rasulullah, even before Risala, was known as Sadiq and Amin. Sadiq. Sadiq to who? Truthful. Truthful to who? To believers? Abadan la. Makkah was filled with mushrikeen. Sometimes we are of the understanding that as long as we lie to non-Shias or to non-Muslims, it's fine. Allah. Rasulullah was Amin. Sadiq and Amin. Understanding human traits like this, so we correct our nafs in order to gain success in the akhirah. Hi one. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. This is one example for conversation between man and Allah on the day of judgment. There are many conversations that will happen. This is one. The other is a conversation between people and people in Nar Jahannam. What do you think is the relationship between people amongst each other in Nar Jahannam? Look at what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran. Surah Al-A'raf. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Verse number 38. قال ادخلوا في أمم قد خلت من قبلكم من الجن والإنس في النار. Certain people, there's absolutely no hope. Imagine after the rahmah of Allah, they're still sent to Nar Jahannam. Shafa'ah of Ahlul Bayt, they were not deserving of it. Or they will reach a part of the Shafa'ah after certain years in Nar Jahannam. Allahu Alam. Mu'im, they have been sent to Nar Jahannam. The decision has been made in the divine court of Allah. So they are told to enter into Jahannam with the people who have entered before you. From who? From amongst the ins, the human beings, and the jinn. So you understand that there are certain compartments of Jahannam that are what we would term today as shared space, shared ownership. With the insan, you have the jinn as well. كل ما دخلت أمة لعنت أختها حتى إذا اداركوا فيها جميعا قالت أخراهم لأولاهم ربنا هؤلاء أضلونا فآتهم عذابا ضعفا من النار قال لكل ضعف ولكن لا تعلمون. So when they are told to enter into Nar Jahannam with those who have entered before you, the Quran says that while the person is entering into Nar Jahannam, he will look at the other people around him, those who are partners in crime, those who used to do fasad on the earth together, who used to do fasad in partnership. And they will turn back to Allah and they will say, Ya Allah, this is this person. It was because of him that I did guna in the dunya. It is because of him that I did haram. Ya Allah, la'na on him and punish him twice as much. If you think the dunya you have seen nafsa nafsi, you have not seen nothing until Jahannam comes. Inshallah, none of us see Jahannam. The real nafsa nafsi is in Nar Jahannam. They'll say, Ya Allah, this one, I recognize him. It is because of him that I'm entering into Jahannam. He is the one who pressurized me. He is the one who misguided me, Ya Allah. So like the way you're punishing me, punish him twice as much. Allah will say, and for both of you there is equal punishment times 2. The person who you are accusing, you say, Ya Allah, Fulan misguided me. You think in Nar Jahannam he's going to keep quiet? No, he's going to retaliate as well. He's going to say, وَقَالَتْ أُولَاهُمْ لِأُخْرَاهُمْ فَمَا كَانَ لَكُمْ عَلَيْنَا مِنْ فَضْلٍ فَذُوقُوا الْعَذَابَ بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَكْتَسِبُونَ. He says, why are you blaming us for misguiding you? Do you think that you are special in this case? Even you had an akal the way we had akal. Even you had akal. If we were misguiding you, why did you listen to us? Even you taste the Nar Jahannam. The partner in crime, the one who you were inseparable from, the one who you took as a master, the one who you took as a colleague or as a role model, partner in crime, best friend, whatever you want to name him, thinking that you are together in life and together in death. Ya Habibi, Allah Azza wa Jal says, the one who you conspire with in order to do fasad, these same people will turn against you in Nar Jahannam. I have to be careful. I may be in business. I have a partner that I conspire with for fasad, to do things that are haram. Today we're sharing profits and things are well. The same guy who is supposed to be, what we would say, Gujarati, Maro jigri dost. Is going to become your jigri enemy over there. These same people, and this applies to all aspects of life. I could be serving the religion, but I conspire to dilute the religion, to change the religion. The same people that I'm conspiring with today. Tomorrow, nar Jahannam, each one will be sending la'na on each other. The human attribute from here is what? This is the point to take the lesson from. Human being doesn't like to take ownership for sins. Human being doesn't like to take ownership for consequences. This is what the eye of the Quran is pointing towards. This person is inside of Nar Jahannam. Instead of him saying, Ya Allah, forgive me, I am the one who was wrong. What did he do? He went and he blamed his partner. This is a human trait. We don't like to take ownership for the sins that we do. And Allah Azza wa Jal, by pointing out these characteristics and foretelling the future for us, is for us to take lessons. Baba, learn to take ownership for your actions from the dunya. Do not start blaming others. Do not fall under peer pressure. Learn to take stances and be responsible for these stances. And don't lie. Two basic messages. La. Two messages that are thaqeel, weighty within the Quran. If a person thinks about this and how this can affect his akhirah, you find that we find the beginning point of self-refinement. How to gain proximity to Allah Azza wa Jal. It's not rocket science. It's not complicated irfani practices. La. It begins with the simplest of actions that are related to the purity of the nafs. Don't lie. Take ownership for actions. Like the two people who lie and don't take ownership, for them there is damnation. Those who are truthful and take ownership for their actions, there is Jannah and eternal success for the dunya as well as the akhirah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Our time is finished as well. So, before we begin the masai, these are two big points for us to contemplate over. As we said, today we're here attending a Marhuma's 40th. Bila shakkin wala rayb. Tomorrow there will be others attending our 40th. And we have to be prepared. What have I achieved in life that will build my akhirah? What can I do from today to refine myself and ensure I begin to build an akhirah that is pleasant? Actions that we can perform for the benefit of our marhumin and marhumat. This is a topic which is also covered within the Quran and the Hadith. Two quick things. Birrul walidain. Our responsibilities to our parents continues even after death. It's not restricted to the dunya. Many times you may feel, now because my parent is passed away, my obligation is completed. Abadan la. The parent has a right over the child even in the akhirah in terms of sadaqah jariyah, in terms of amal khairah. What is termed as traditional belief, we don't know the value of this tradition. these Suratul Fatihas, these Ziyarat Ashuras, these Majalis, building of wells and investing or donating in educational programs on behalf of our marhumin and marhumat is something which is azim, amal kabira. And our parents have a right over us in the dunya as well as the akhirah. I one. Number two, just like the way the child or the parent has the right over the child even after death, Mawla Imam Ja'far ibn Muhammad as-Sadiq salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, states that the parents' rahmah also continues over the children after death. You know how they say that the mother's dua for the child is always accepted? How the mother's dua protects a child from bala and every sort of su. Allah Azza wa Jal is way too Rahman and way too Rahim to close this door of Rahmah after the death of a mother. This Rahmah continues, which is why we have Hadith al-Sharif in Kitabul Kafi, where the master of the madhab states, if you have lost your parents, your mother particularly, and he says you are faced by difficulties or you are faced with difficulties in the dunya, Imam as-Sadiq says, go to the graveyard and at the grave of your mother, look at the makan in which the Imam is speaking about. At the grave of your mother, recite a 2 rakat salat and ask Allah through your mother to bring ease to your difficulties. This is the master of the madhab, Imam Sadiq speaking. He says, for the person who does this, the wasila and the dua of the mother from Awlam al-Barzakh becomes mustajab and the person's difficulties get solved. Therefore, this connection with the parent does not end with the burial. No. It should remain strong and it should continue. I pray to Allah Azza wa Jal to give each and every one of us the opportunity of self-refinement and to participate in amal khair for our own marhumin and marhumat. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Masa'ib. We're here to commemorate the 40th of the mother of Haji Nazir Kalyan. And the loss of a mother is something which is very difficult to bear. The source of comfort and the one whom Allah made as a source of life for us is now no more around us. And this is a very difficult concept, a difficult sentiment to come into terms with. But you find that within the grief of Ahlul Bayt, Allahu Akbar, there is relief for us. And no death of a mother can be more painful than the martyrdom of Sayyidah Fatima al-Zahra and the way it affected Imam Hassan and Imam al-Husayn. The narrations mention that on one of the evenings, Amirul Mu'mineen went to the grave of Sayyidati Nisa'il Alameen. Allah, this grave of Sayyidah Fatima that we don't know where this qabr is. Where are the Sadat and the Shia who want to perform the ziyarah of Sayyidah Zahra to return towards Baqi or towards the house? We don't know until Imam al-Hujjah comes back. Allah. The narrations mention that Amirul Mu'mineen came from the grave of Sayyidati Nisa'il Alameen. He used to recite on the grave of Sayyidah Fatima Surah Yasin and Surah As-Safat. Allah. He comes back into the house and he sees Sayyida Zainab al-Kubra, 4-year-old daughter, sitting in the middle of the house weeping and crying. Amirul Mu'mineen comes and he carries her, he kisses her on the forehead and says, "O the remainder of my mother, O the one who reminds me of Fatima, why are you crying? O my daughter Zainab." Allah, 4-year-old daughter who has seen her mother being assaulted in front of her. The traditions tell us that when the enemies of Islam came to attack the house of Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen, and when she was crushed between the door and the wall, and the taghut of the ummah was slapping Sayyidah Fatima al-Zahra, Imam Hassan and Husayn was standing on the side. Sayyidah Zainab held the hand of her brother Imam Hassan and she said, "Brother Hassan, why are they slapping my mother Fatima?" Allah, Allah. She says this Sayyidah Zainab, she began to cry. Amirul Mu'mineen kissed her on the forehead. He says, my daughter Zainab, what makes you cry? Sayyidah Zainab says, oh my father, today I was remembering my mother Fatima. She holds the hand of Amirul Mu'mineen. She takes her, she says, oh my father, Baba, this is where my mother would stand in the mihrab and recite the Salatul Layl. Oh my father, this is where my mother Fatima would bake the bread. Allah, Allah. Sayyidah Zainab is weeping. When Amirul Mu'mineen hears this, Amirul Mu'mineen sits down on the ground and Amirul Mu'mineen begins to cry. The son, the daughter and the father are both crying. You will always see that it is the father who wipes the tears of the daughter. But Allah, this is Zainab al-Kubra. The traditions mentions that when Sayyidah Zainab saw Amirul Mu'mineen cry, she stopped crying and she began to wipe the tears of her father Amirul Mu'mineen. She says, oh my father, Baba, do not worry. Hassan and Husayn are sleeping. I am Zainab, I shall be with you. This is Zainab, the one of Sabariya Ali. This is that Zainab who shall see shimmer with a khanjar on the neck of Husayn. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. We pray to Allah Azza wa Jal by the Sheikh of Sayyidah Zainab al-Kubra. Pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant the thawab of this majlis to the Marhuma for which we have gathered here today. Pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by the sake of Sayyidah Zainab al-Kubra to give the family of Haji Nazir Kalyan sabr, the best of sabr to deal with this tragedy. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by the sake of Sayyidah Zainab al-Kubra to grant the Marhuma the highest level of Jannah, to grant the Marhuma with maghfirah. We pray to Allah Azza wa Jal by the sake of Sayyidah Zainab al-Kubra for all of us on this day over here to be forgiven for the sins that we have committed and to gain tawfiq and the highest level of success in the akhirah. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by the sake of Sayyidah Zainab al-Kubra, our mu'mineen and mu'minat who are not in the best of health. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant them shafa'ah. By the sake of Sayyidah Zainab al-Kubra, mu'mineen and mu'minat who have hajat that are not been fulfilled, Ya Allah, you help these hajat and you make these hajat to be fulfilled. By the sake of Sayyidah Zainab al-Kubra, marhumeen and marhumat who have passed away, Ya Allah, you make their graves into a garden from the gardens of Jannah. وآخر الدعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. يقول الله تعالى في محكم كتابه الحكيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما.